I would like to call to order the regular board meeting of the Vallecitos Water District for May 6, 2026. Before we begin, I would like to announce that members of the public may watch the meeting live online by visiting the district's website and clicking the Watch Live icon. However, they will not be able to participate in the meeting remotely. Miss Evie, would you please lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Evie. Directors, please indicate your attendance. Oops. Oh, oops. Okay, we have a quorum. Yay. Missing Director Elitharp and Director Hernandez. Director Hernandez, I think, is coming late. Do we have any additions to the agenda?
No, ma'am.
Okay, may I have a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting of today, May 6, 2026?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion by Director Pennick, seconded by Director Brown. Please vote. Do we have any public speakers today?
We've not received any requests to speak today.
All right, so the first item is a special presentation item, announcement of the North County Water Agency's annual 4th grade calendar contest winners for Vallecitos.
I'm just going to hand this right over to Chris to announce our
Alrighty.
annual winner. So go ahead, Chris.
Thank you, General Manager. So this is always a fun day for me and for the district. It is our North County Water Agency's calendar contest. We send out calendar applications to all the teachers within our service area. 4th grade students get to participate, and then staff reviews the submittals and picks winners. And we are here to celebrate our winners. Next December, a calendar will be created, and our students' artwork will be included in the calendar. And I have the parents' contact info, so when I do get those calendars, when they all get printed, I'll be able to give them to the students to give out to their friends and family members for the new calendar year coming on board. So this is a especially fun day. I have a pack of giveaways for each of the students. Nice water bottle, notepads, something kind of cool, deck of cards with water conservation tips on it, bandana, water saving bandana, a moisture meter for you to help your parents learn, how much irrigation the plants need, and then especially for like these 4th grade students that are starting to become tweens, we've got a little shower timer so that you get in the shower, but then you also get out of the shower. So I've got one of these for each of the students.
How long is that? Is that a 1-minute shower?
That's a 5-minute shower. I've timed it out. I think it's 4 minutes, 52 seconds. But I sort of think every one of them probably is a little different depending on how the machine's running that day. So I have certificates for the students. I have gift cards for the students, Amazon gift cards for each of them. Students, these are for you. You get to do this, and Mom and Dad don't get to decide what you're going to purchase. So you need to work with them on it, but you're kind of fun time. And then I've also got Alicia was able to get from me Reuben H. Fleet Space Theater tickets. So each one of the students will get one of those. So I would like to bring up our 3rd place winner, AYLEEN Sophia GUILLEN. Now you get to talk in the microphone. What would you like to say?
I did that drawing because, I really like the beach, so I I drew like a bunch of stuff like the ocean and the sunset.
I saw, and board members, their artwork is out on the pillar out in the lobby, so make sure you get a chance to look at that. AYLEEN, here's your kit. Here's your certificate. Here's the Reuben H. Fleet Space Theater, and this is the good one. You know, this is the Amazon gift card. Thank you so much. Next we have Fiona Rose Basham. Am I saying it right? Basham. That's the way I sort of wanted to say it, but I was trying to show a little finesse. Princess Fiona, can you come up to the microphone up there? Now you have to talk to the board of directors.
I've made this coloring maybe like, or I made the sketch like the first day, and then on the last day we could submit it, I was out at lunch with the clipboard coloring it.
Here's your basket, your certificate, Reuben H. Fleet. This one's the good one. Fiona, I let the other students climb in the Jeep and get a photo, but I have a presentation after this, so you and your parents can go out and climb in the Jeep and let her sit behind the wheel and get a picture, okay? I can't go out there, I gotta stay, fun stuff. But when you do that, make sure you get a picture. Okay,
Yeah.
super.
Thank you.
Okay, so this is really kind of cool. Our first place winner is Evie Cassidy, and she is here with both of her brothers, who were also both winners of this calendar contest. Obviously a few years ago for her older brother, and I think maybe almost COVID time for her middle brother. Is that right? Oldest was COVID, okay. So, Evie, come on up. Evie had that really terrific artwork with the mermaid on it. You get to talk.
Nice.
I would like to say I'm super excited. And the reason why I made this was because it just came up in my head and I was like, yeah, let's do that.
Well, and do you have some bragging rights maybe?
For these two, yes.
Why don't you tell the board, because they will get a kick out of that.
So these two got second place. No, got third place. And since I got first place, I'm gonna brag in their face.
I love it.
Congratulations.
Here's your packet, your certificate. That's mine. This. Reuben H. Fleet. Gift card. Congratulations.
So I just want to say thank you to all the students for submitting your artwork. I have that calendar hanging up on my wall at work, and I will have the new one hanging up next year. So, and I loved hearing you talk about your inspiration for your art. So that's pretty cool that you're able to stand up there and talk to the board like that. That's, in addition to being so artistic, that's pretty impressive that you're so confident that you can talk about it. So congratulations, thank you.
Chris, can we get the winners up here to take a picture, and the parents could probably take a picture? also?
Absolutely. So students, can you come on up to the bullpen right up here? Board members, will you come down?
Yeah.
Oh, so we're missing a board member, but that makes 4 and 3. So let's see who has trouble figuring that one out. Will it be the children or will it be the adults?
The winners are already lined up.
Right? They're dialed in.
They're dialed in.
So,
Okay, board members in the windows.
Come on over.
Yeah.
so these are our new ambassadors,
They
right?
truly are. along with some of them's brothers, right?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Parents, would it be okay to put this on social media? Would that be okay with you? Yes? Yes? Okay, super. Parents, last thing. You do not have to stay any longer. We have a lot of activities on the calendar. We've got some engineering information. We've got budget information. The budget's only funded the accountants. But you're also free to go.
Chris, thanks for selling it so well. Our budget presentation is only like an hour and a half.
Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
All right, so we're moving on to consent items. May I have a motion to approve the consent calendar as presented?
So moved?
I will second that. Motion by Director Pennick, seconded by KERSCHBAUM. Please vote.
We will need to do attendance again before we can vote.
Oh, okay. Directors, please indicate your attendance. Thank you. Okay, and now we can vote on the consent calendar. All right, motion passes. First action item is our scholarship contest recommendations. Take it away, Chris.
Yeah, well, really quick,
Or,
just
sorry.
keeping with the feel-good theme with the presentations earlier, where now we get to go to the next thing, which is our scholarships, and I'll hand it over to Chris.
Thank you, General Manager. So this one is fun tonight, but it'll be more fun as we get forward. Back in February of 2022, the board made a motion to provide 6 scholarships to local high school and college students, 6 in the amount of $1,000 each. Each student would be required to provide an application, an essay, a letter of recommendation from a
2,000 each. 6 in the amount of 2,000 each.
It changed.
Oh, you're going somewhere. Okay, you're leading up to it. I got you, sorry.
I'll get there.
I got you.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
All right.
Application, essay, letter of recommendation, and then a financial needs worksheet. And the P3 committee kind of serves as the evaluation panel for the board of directors. And then the P3 committee makes a recommendation to provide scholarships. On January 17th of 2024, the board put forth a new motion to provide scholarships in the amount of $2,000 each. I think it was Board Member Hernandez that made that effort, and it was not to exceed 6 recipients. So there was that modification. So back in February of 2026, we issued a press release announcing the scholarships, and I contacted the high school counselors and the college work centers and let them know that the scholarships were available by both email and phone, and then set Friday, March 27th as the deadline to get the submittals. A total of 27 scholarships were received, so up from 24 last year. And the P3 committee met on May 5th to review the applications and evaluate the scholarships. And if approved by the board today, I will notify the selected recipients and coordinate their attendance at a future board meeting to actually give them the actual checks in the amount of $2,000. As far as strategic plan and tactical initiatives, this is workforce excellence and public info. Direct cost to the district for the scholarship program is $12,000. And the recommendation is the board of directors make a motion to approve 6 scholarships in the amount of $2,000 each.
All right.
I'll take any questions.
Sorry for messing up your little build-up there.
It's all good.
He had a plan. Director Brown?
Well, I was just going to say, it was really such a pleasure and an honor to read all the applications and see what a wide variety of applicants we got, and how many students are, how many of the 27, not all of them, but many of them are within the realm that it could be that they might have a career in water as their future, and we know students change and all that. But it was really encouraging, and a lot of the students did just an extraordinary job filling out the applications and sharing with us kind of their aspirations for the next couple of years. So it was really an honor to serve.
Yeah, thanks for those comments, Director Brown. I served on the committee last year, and I feel very strongly that this is such a small investment in workplace development and community outreach. So definitely support this item, and I'll move to approve.
Okay, I'll second.
Any other comments, questions? No? Okay, please vote.
Thank you.
It's great news. Thank you so much.
Chris, you're welcome to stay and listen to budget presentation.
You know you want to.
That was good.
Okay, before we get to the budget presentation, we have one more action item. Request approval of amendment to the professional services agreement with Valley CM for construction support services for the Montiel lift station and FORCEMAIN replacement project, which almost all of us were out there at the Montiel lift station. I think we were just missing Director Elletharp for that visit. So, anyway, thank you.
Yep, so thank you, President KERSCHBAUM. So to keep on the fun times, we're going from fun presentation to a scholarship, future fun presentation to even more fun engineering stuff to finalize with a very exciting budget presentation. Exactly. So in keeping with the theme and just bringing the energy level up, we're going to put it over to our engineering team here to present on this item. So take it away.
Good evening, President KERSCHBAUM and members of the board. My name is Stephanie Roman Phillips, and I am your District Engineering Manager. This evening, I will be presenting the Montiel Lift Station Replacement Project, Amendment Number 1 for Construction Management Support Services. I will also be recommending that the board authorize the General Manager to execute Amendment Number 1 to the Professional Services Agreement with Valley Construction Management on a time and materials basis in the amount not to exceed $70,315. The district's Montiel lift station is located on Montiel Road just north of State Route 78, east of Nordall Road, as seen on this slide. Some board members may recall visiting the project site in October of 2025 while the project was under construction. Originally constructed as a temporary wastewater facility, the lift station lacks the long-term capacity and reliability needed to support its surrounding Montiel sewer basin, which is highlighted on this slide in yellow. The basin is primarily composed of growing shopping centers and developing residential communities. To address the Montiel sewer basin's aging and undersized infrastructure, the Montiel Lift Station Replacement Project was adopted into the district's capital improvement program. The project is part of the district's long-term infrastructure upgrade cycle designed to extend service life and improve system reliability. The scope of work generally includes a complete replacement of the lift station and rehabilitation of portions of the existing collection system. In August of 2023, the construction contract for the lift station replacement project was awarded to Kiewit Corporation in the amount of approximately $6,600,000. During that same time period, the board also authorized a professional services agreement with Valley Construction Management for the construction management support services in the amount of approximately $590,000. Construction was originally anticipated to be completed in early 2026. Currently, the project is approximately 95% complete, with final acceptance by the board anticipated in early summer of this year. Due to a series of unforeseen circumstances, including procurement delays and design modifications. The lift station replacement project experienced multiple schedule impacts. The most significant impact resulted from procurement of the Programmable Logic Controller, or PLC. The PLC was originally anticipated to arrive in June of 2025. However, due to a scheduling gap in the contractor's ordering process, compounded with longer than normal lead times industry-wide for critical equipment, delivery of the PLC did not occur until Friday, April 24th, which was a little less than 2 weeks ago, but nearly 10 months after originally anticipated. Delays also stem from district-initiated design changes intended to improve long-term operational efficiency. Notably, the district elected to incorporate newly finalized instrumentation controls and electrical design standards into the project. And while beneficial, updates such as these also extended the construction timeline. Some of the impacts resulting from the unanticipated and compounding delays above included construction management support services beyond that of the original scope of work. The lift station replacement project is already included in the district's fiscal year 25-26 budget. The approved budget for this project, as shown on this slide, is $9,392,000. If the board approves this item this evening, no budget increase will be required because the proposed amendment remains within the existing project budget. It is important to note that the construction agreement with Kiewit Corporation includes liquidated damages of $1,500 per day for delays beyond originally defined construction schedule. So staff does anticipate that damages assessed will help offset the additional construction management support service costs being requested this evening. At this time, staff recommends that the Board of Directors authorize the General Manager to execute Amendment Number 1 to the PSA with Valley Construction Management for construction management support services on a time and materials basis not to exceed $70,315. This concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions that the board may have. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie, for that presentation. Any questions?
Just the one thing, if I remember correctly, the lift station was originally built as a temporary lift station, and so this is really the first kind of long-term lift station, right, in that area?
Yeah, so my understanding is, and I could have the dates a little bit wrong, but it was built in 1985 and was supposed to last about 10 years.
Yeah, so we're on borrowed time right now. But, so what's the longevity expectation after this finishes?
Well, the facility itself is sized for our ultimate needs in the area, so unless something drastically changes, we anticipate that facility to function. But the equipment itself will go through normal life cycle, and wastewater equipment, and I think it's in our depreciation schedule, has roughly a 10-year lifespan before it needs replacement refurbishment as far as the equipment. But the facility itself will be there for decades and decades.
Okay. Beyond us. Thanks.
Just a clarification, if we can go back a couple slides, 2 slides, originally, we started at 6.6 and now we're at 9.9. How did we get from 6.6 to 9.9? Or 9.3?
I'm sorry, are you referring to?
I think originally it was projected at 6.6 million, the project, right?
No,
The construction.
the total budget's 9.3. The construction project is 6.7 basically.
Oh, that was just construction,
Yeah.
6.6.
So, and I believe, and I don't know where our change order percentages are currently, but I believe we're pretty good,
7, all right.
or within our
My
contingency.
understanding is that the district staff remains within the contingency
Gotcha, and this is just amendment number 1? Meaning we
for
haven't had,
construction support services.
really, we haven't had any up to this point?
My understanding is not for Valley CM, which is
Right.
what we're discussing this evening.
Right.
Yeah, Director Panic, just to clarify, so if you look at the construction contract, it's 6.69 million basically.
That's where I got confused.
There's a
yeah.
5% contingency that's set per ordinance. So district staff, if there's some things that come up, negotiate within that contingency. And then we do have some change orders, but the board wouldn't see that until the final. If it goes above that contingency, then we have to come back to the board.
So
And
in other
that's-
words, we haven't gone above that contingency.
Exactly.
Good job. Okay, that helps. Thank you. I was just
I
looking.
wish I could take credit for that,
What's
but I
that? It's not
am.
that good? What'd you
No, it's
say?
not done yet.
I'm professing. Good job. Because hopefully we'll get, no, thank you. Another question?
All right. Any other questions? This went to engineering committee, so Director Elitharp isn't here. Director Hernandez, you're on the engineering committee?
Yes, and we
so-
reviewed this, we recommended it coming to the board for approval, and very same presentation, and it was all good.
Okay. Well, I would like to move to approve staff's recommendation for
I'll
amendment
second
one.
that.
Okay, please vote. Motion passes. Thank you.
Good
Thank you.
job presenting.
Great job.
Yeah, good job. Thank you.
Yes.
Moving on to the star of the show. The review of the Vallecitos Water District draft fiscal year 26-27 annual budget.
And while staff gets ready here, so as the board's aware, this is an annual process and it goes through several committee sessions. This is the first board workshop scheduled beyond that, and you'll see it in the schedule. There'll be another board workshop with the anticipated board approval for our first meeting in June, on June 3rd. So this is basically a culmination of work by all staff and a lot of work by our finance staff to bring it to this point. A lot of iterations, some arm wrestling and negotiations between departments. But hopefully we'll bring together a good budget for you guys. So with that, I'll hand it over to our finance team.
Good evening, President KERSCHBAUM, members of the board. We are honored to be the main event tonight. This is going to be exciting. But before I get started, I want to just check. You're all accountants here, right?
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
No, but seriously, this is the budget update. This has been months and months of work, and it's going to be a long presentation. I'm going to go as fast as I can. We all will. But we want to make sure you get all the information you need, and then we can address all of your questions. So if anytime during the presentation I'm talking too fast or you have questions, just stop me, and I'm happy to answer any questions. So with that, we'll get started. This is probably the most exciting slide you'll see tonight, the budget party page. Committee gets to see it all the time, board doesn't get to see it very often, so you know it's the most colorful, exciting slide we got. From here on, it's just numbers for the accountants. So the agenda for tonight, first we're going to talk about the actual versus budget result for the last 6 years. Then we'll go into our preliminary salaries and benefits for fiscal year 2027. After that, we'll talk about the operating budget request for this year. Then the capital budget requests. Next, Mike will talk about the water purchases and revenue. And then finally, the preliminary reserve levels, and this is a new one for everybody. This is our 5-year financial plan that we're going to be looking at, putting it all together. So the budget calendar, in February, staff actually updates the budget with the audited financial statement numbers, and then the individual departments are preparing their budget so that we can, and sends them to the finance department to enter into the budget. And then February 17th, we have our first committee meeting, and at that meeting, we discuss the budget calendar as well as the budget versus actual results for the last 5 years. Next, in March, the departments submit their request to finance, and we put them in the operating budget. We finish our current year projections. We start working on future personnel and payroll estimates, as well as debt service forecasts. And then on March 17th, we had our second finance committee meeting. And at that meeting, we reviewed the operating budget request with everyone in attendance, and the Director of Operations is mentioned there because he has the majority of those requests. And we discussed any board-related requests or items.
Really quick, sorry, can I interrupt you? So the departmental budgets compiled into the operating budget, so each of the departments has their own process then, like before this, and then they come to their budget and then it goes, okay.
Yeah, so the materials and services requests were included in the board packet. That's actually the compilation of all of that. So all the staff will put in their budget requests. It's actually entered by the supervisors and then reviewed by the managers and then sent into finance in total. So you get all of construction supervisors over there entering their budget. Eric and Chris will review them, and then they'll be sent over to finance, and the same thing happens throughout the district.
Okay, thanks.
And it's like 40 pages of single items that get down to the $100 amount, so it's a lot of detail. So moving on, in April, our internal process is to incorporate any budget changes that have happened, and then we do more revising and refining. And then April 14th, we have our third Finance Committee meeting. At that meeting, we review any operating budget changes that have happened since the first committee meeting, and we also talk about water cost estimates and revenue requirements. And then we go over the preliminary salaries and benefit estimates for fiscal year 27, as well as the capital budget requests. So that meeting was a lot of information in that meeting. That one was probably the longest of the 3 meetings we had. And then in May, we actually put it all together and we established the reserve projections for the 5 years in detail and 10 years consolidated. And then we start to get ready to actually draft the proposed budget. And today is May 6th, and we're here to talk about the draft budget update to get the board up to speed with what staff and the committee's been working on. And we'll talk about any board requested items and work on the draft proposed budget next. So getting into it, this is budget to actual for the last 6 years. And you can see by the circle that in fiscal year 2024, we were over budget by 1.42% or $200,000. And for fiscal year 25, we're actually over budget by 0.57% or $85,000. So pretty accurate budgeting. And some of that may be luck, but it looks pretty good anyway. And some notable variances there are that we actually were over budget with pumping, and most of that, it was over budget by $154,000. The majority was due to increasing power costs. And then transmission distribution was also over budget by about $106,000, and that was just because we had more main breaks this year than last year. We actually had 37 main breaks in 25 and 31 main breaks in fiscal year 24. Meters was under budget for fiscal year 25 by $111,000, mainly due to labor. They were down a person for about 3 months out of the year, and we just had less help from other departments than we budgeted for. And then engineering was over budget by $224,000. That was a result of a project we had, the ductile iron pipe condition assessment, that ended up not being able to be capitalized, so we had to expense it, so it increased our expenses and put them over budget. And then G&A was over budget by $239,000 as a result of less time being spent on projects and water by most of the engineering staff. So that would reduce the amount of overhead than we budgeted for, so that was about $239,000 over budget. So moving on to sewer. So this is sewer operating expenses budget versus actual, and we can see that fiscal year 25 we were under budget by 3.61% or $330,000. And the main reasons for that were safety and compliance were under budget by $98,000 as a result of less outside services than anticipated. G&A was under budget by $177,000 as a result of less labor costs. And less legal costs, as well as less outside services because we didn't perform the sewer cost of service study that we had budgeted. So moving on, the next thing we're going to talk about is preliminary salaries and benefits. So this is on page 25 of your draft budget, and I've added the columns to the right here for presentation purposes. And we can see at the top, the letters just tell us how we derive the numbers we have below. And first, I want to look at projected for 26 versus budget for 26. So how are we doing this current year? We're only in April now, but we projected it to the end of June to look at that versus our budget, and we're projected to be under budget in salaries by about $1.8 million. And that's really due to a lot of turnover we've had this year. We've actually had 11 new hires this year, and we still have 5 vacant positions currently. And salaries and benefits is budgeted to be under budget by $2.5 million in total, and benefits are lower because a lot of benefits correspond with salary. So they're usually a percentage of salaries like Social Security or PERS. They're all percentages of salary. Moving on, projected versus actual. So projected 26 versus the actual results for fiscal year 25. We're actually projected to be under the actual results for 25 as well by about $600,000 in salaries. Again, we actually had a lot of turnover last year in 25. We've had more in 26. So total salaries and benefits is projected to be under the actual for last year by $263,000, and that went down a little bit just because PERS actually did increase. The unfunded accrued liability payment increased by about $400,000 in fiscal year 25. So lastly, budget versus budget. So budget versus budget for 27 versus 26 is budgeted to increase by about $600,000 or 4.33%. And that's really a result of COLA. So remember, a budget is assuming that we're fully staffed for both years. So assuming we're fully staffed, really we're showing an increase of 4%. And the COLA was 5%, 5%, 4%, 4%. And we're currently in the last year of the MOU, which is the last 4%. So that increase is reasonable because it's around the COLA percentage. And then benefits are budgeted increased by $508,000, mainly as a result of PERS increasing. Again, we went from about $1.2 million this year versus about $900,000 last year, so the unfunded accrued liability payment increased again. I have news on the rates from PERS. They've actually earned 11.3% this year. No, I think it's 11.6 versus 9.3 last year. So we should expect to see our unfunded accrued liability decrease as well as our payments going forward. And then total salaries and benefits increased by $1.1 million or 5.2%. And finally on this slide, you can see down bottom that we are budgeting an increase of 1.5 FTEs or full-time equivalent positions. And that's because there's a request for 2.5 positions in operations. And that's on your personnel page in the budget. I think it's 32, but I could be making up numbers. And then, and then engineering actually has you'll see the decrease of 1 position there. It's because we eliminated 2 and actually added 1, so the net of 1 reduction in positions there. So moving on, salaries and benefits, budget versus actual for the last 5 years. The bottom of the chart shows salaries and the top shows the benefits. And really what this shows is over the last 5 years through efficient operations and scrutinizing positions, we've been able to keep salaries and benefits very steady over the last 5 years and actually beyond. Even though we have a lot of growth and we're going to show some of that in a minute. And we've actually also realized the savings in budget versus actual. And while that's not always optimal, we do have a savings there as a result of the turnover we've mentioned. So this next slide, I did mention growth and how we're doing, and we're keeping salaries steady as well as the number of staff. And this shows the number of employees we have per 1,000 connections. And in full transparency, these are last year's numbers. We haven't got the results for this year yet. We're still working on that and hope to have it at the next board workshop. But as of last year, we were the lowest, and being the lowest or number 1 is not always the best thing because we're doing more with less. So we have 2.51 employees per 1,000 connections, and compared to other agencies, it's much, much lower. And I think Director Pennick asked last year what's going on with Sweetwater, and the response to that was they have about 20,000 connections and about 138 employees, so they just have more employees and less connections. So this next slide shows the number of FTEs authorized, and you can see in 2016 we had 115 authorized, and then in 2017 through attrition we were able to reduce that or eliminate 3.5 positions. And then in 2018, again through attrition we were able to eliminate another 4 positions, and we've kept that pretty steady over the years. We did add 2 positions, asset management supervisor and mechanical maintenance manager. And then we actually eliminated a couple more in 25 and 26, but it stayed pretty steady over the years. And then moving on to the next one. This next slide is going to incorporate both things, our number of connections and number of FTEs. And you can see here the number of connections is 41,901 in 2016, and it's gone up to almost 44,000 as of 2026. Bringing our number of full-time equivalent employees per 1,000 connections from 2.75 down to 2.48. So we really are doing more with less. So some of the initiatives we've taken over the years, I talked about eliminating the 7 positions, and actually in total it's 9 positions that were eliminated. We had in 2017, by eliminating the 3.5 positions in today's dollars, we're saving $270,000 in salary, $55,000 in benefits for a total of $325,000 every year. And then by eliminating the 4 positions in 2018, we are saving $354,000 in salaries, $73,000 in benefits for a total of $427,000 per year. In 25, I mentioned we eliminated 1 additional position, and that position resulted in savings of $82,000 in salaries, $16,000 in benefits for a total of $98,000 per year. And then this year, you'll see the one with an asterisk next to it, that's the elimination of the 2 positions in engineering, but adding the 1 position, so it's a net savings. And that net savings is $113,000 in salary, $51,000 in benefits for a total of $164,000. The district has also taken other initiatives to save money related to salaries and benefits, and one of them is pre-funding our other post-employment benefits trust. By pre-funding that trust, we're saving, we don't have to pay the retiree medical costs anymore. So before we pre-funded it, we were having to pay the retiree medical costs. Now that it's pre-funded, we still pay it, but then we're able to get reimbursed, so we have savings there. And for 2027, that number is $388,000. So we're saving $388,000 a year, and by 2031, that amount is estimated to be about $448,000. So that's increasing every year. And the next thing,
If I can, quick
Yeah,
question
yeah.
on that. So when you're talking about eliminating positions and whether they're voluntary or not, does this factor in our PERSable donations, our PERSable deposits?
so OPEB won't be affected by it, but the PERS would be affected by it because it's a percentage of salaries. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I mean, if an employee retires, we still are contributing to their, or are we contributing to their retirement?
To their PERS, but
To
not their
PERS.
medical.
But not their medical.
Not their
So
medical.
does this factor in employees that have either left the industry and so we're not contributing anymore?
Yep.
Compared to those that are retired and we're still contributing to their PERS?
Yeah, so it's a
Does
little
this
different.
factor
So these are positions going back to when we had, was it 117 total FTEs
150.
approved by the board? So that's not, so if an employee works here and retires, they're part of the pool, and Vallecitos still gets adjusted in our PERS based on that pool.
Right.
But no matter what, if we had multiple employees and technology came in and now we don't need as many employees to do that job, that liability is off the books of having that extra employee. So those savings are continued, and how much that would save on the PERS, we don't really know, because it's not actually, they're no longer in the pool.
So I guess that's my question. So do these numbers factor in whether they're on the books or off the books?
Yeah, they do, because these are our numbers off the books. Numbers we get from PERS are actuals based on who is on the books.
Gotcha.
So.
Okay. Thank you.
So the PERS UAL funding, that savings there is from pre-funding PERS. I think it was around 2018, 2019, the board made the decision to pre-fund about $12 million of our unfunded accrued liability. Not only did we save approximately $20 million in interest by pre-funding that liability, we also reduced the payments because the principal went down. So this year, we're going to realize the savings of about $319,000. It would have been about $1.9 million, and we're going to end up paying about $1.6. So we're saving that every year. And then finally, the total annual savings from all these initiatives is $819,000 for salaries and $902,000 for benefits. And in total, it's about $1.7 million a year, and that amount is increasing every year. Now, again, in full transparency, I did mention we added 2 positions during this time. So we added an asset management supervisor and an assistant operations manager, which is now the mechanical maintenance manager. Adding those 2 positions is costing us $397,000 a year in today's dollars, so this is going to go down to about $1.3 million.
Over 10 years.
Just going forward. This is the annual savings from this, and it increases every year because salaries go up every year as well as the PERS costs. So next, I'm going to pass it on to Jody. She's the next member of the dream team for the main event.
Thank you for motoring through that.
Okay, good evening, President KERSCHBAUM and members of the board. I will begin with water operations. As noted on page 10 of the draft budget document, total 26-27 water operating expenses are projected to be $65.7 million. This chart shows the breakdown of the proposed water operating expenses. Of the $65.7 million total, $48.5 million is for water purchase costs, which are considered an uncontrollable cost to the district. So the district basically does not have much control over approximately 74% of this total budget, which is shown here in the blue area of the pie chart. Of the remaining 26%, or $17.2 million, 19% is salary and benefit costs, and the remaining 7%, or $4.4 million, is for water operations. And water operations includes items such as materials, supplies, outside services, and power costs. And before we get into the detail of the water operation budget results, for any new viewers, I will quickly show how department requests flow all the way through to the draft budget document. Starting here with a section of the materials and services detail report that was provided to the board. This report summarizes all department budget requests, and it is organized by department category type. This example shows the backflow prevention department budget requests for materials and supplies and outside services categories. It also shows the staff member requesting each item and whether the item is reoccurring. And most of the items in this report are reoccurring, so that means the one-time costs stand out, and this column can help provide answers as to why there may be changes for one-time costs from year to year. Then moving a smaller version of this report down and adding the backflow prevention budget page, you can see how the $13,000 for materials and supplies total flows over to the budget page, as well as the $74,000 for outside services that also flows over. And then when you add the cost of labor, the total budget requested for backflow prevention department is $126,000, which will flow through and get carried forward over to another summary page of the budget document. So you can see that the previous $126,000 total for backflow prevention is listed here on this budget summary by department on the far right, which is part of the $65.7 million total water operating expense budget amount that was mentioned earlier. So that concludes the roadmap from department requests all the way through to the draft budget. And then moving on to the detail for water projections. For this budget summary page, we added a budget-to-budget comparison column on the far right for analytical purposes. So when you compare the 25-26 budget to the 26-27 budget, you get the differences listed here. And the water operating budget is proposed to increase by a total of $1.3 million or 8.1%. This calculation excludes the line at the top for the uncontrollable water purchase costs. And this 8.1% increase includes costs such as materials and services and salaries and benefits, or the costs that the district has more control over. The departments with the larger increases are highlighted in blue, and so next I'll go over the items causing those increases. For water treatment, there's an increase in labor costs, materials and supplies for calcium hypochlorite and salt for the on-site generation system. The transmission and distribution department, there's an increase for labor costs and materials and supplies for right-of-way permits, valve position indicators, and SCADA batteries, and an increase in outside repairs for construction and maintenance, emergency pavement and concrete repairs, traffic control services, and weed abatement costs. For meters, there's an increase in labor costs and outside services for grant administration and meters, AMI subscription and training costs. And for engineering, the increase is primarily due to an increase in labor costs. For IT, there's an increase in labor costs, materials and supplies for SCADA, and outside services for software-related costs, such as Maximo, Microsoft 365, Northstar, Procore construction management software, and Verizon vehicle telemetry. And for G&A, the primary reason for the increase is labor costs.
Jody, can I interrupt you real quick? I just have a question for our general manager. So water treatment, we buy all of our water like treated. So what exactly is this for?
We still do treatment. We add basically sodium hypochlorite to our system. We have on-site generation for sodium hypochlorite, which requires a salt and electricity. So there's still a treatment component to make sure the water meets or exceeds the standard quality. When we get it from the water authority, it's treated water, but then Vallecitos is responsible to keep it up to standard to reach our customers.
Okay, all right, thank you. Sorry to interrupt.
Okay, so next is wastewater operations. The 26-27 wastewater operating expenses are projected to total $20.5 million, as shown on page 20 of the draft budget document. This slide shows a breakdown of projected wastewater operating expenses, and the total is comprised of projected ENCINA expenses of approximately $5.5 million, salary and benefit costs of approximately $8.8 million, or 43% of the total budget, and then the remaining 30%, or $6.2 million of this total budget includes the Meadowlark plant and sewer operations. And so the controllable costs for wastewater, which exclude power and chemicals, are approximately 23% of the total sewer budget. And on average, controllable costs have increased approximately 4% annually for the last 10 years. For the wastewater budget, this summary information is on page 21 of the budget document, and on the far right shows the 25-26 to 26-27 budget comparison. Overall, the total wastewater budget is proposed to increase by 8.3%, or $1.6 million. And some of the larger increases are highlighted here in green. For collection and conveyance, there's an increase in labor costs and chemicals. For lift stations, there's an increase in labor costs and outside services for grinder refurbishment. And there's a $497,000 increase in ENCINA costs, which are based on their 26-27 budget draft. And then for engineering, there's an increase in labor costs and outside services for warranty inspections, grant administration costs, survey services, easement services, and general outside services. For IT, there's an increase in labor costs and outside services for AT&T and Verizon services, Maximo software support, Northstar, Harris Software Services, Procore, Construction Management Software, Verizon Vehicle Telemetry, and Microsoft 365. And for the G&A department, it's primarily labor costs and outside services for the sewer cost of service study, and election costs and regulatory fees. Okay, and so moving on to the capital improvement program.
A quick question on that, just while it's in my head, sorry, you probably want to, but for example, like you had wastewater and we had water, and increases went up, I mean, for example, on IT, they went up $250,000, so $500,000 combined. Have they gone up $500,000 and we're just distributing them between wastewater and water, or is there two different programs, one monitoring wastewater and one monitoring water?
So for IT, for example, is split according to one of our cost of service studies that we did that determined our operational costs, and it was determined to be $51.49. And since IT is a general cost to the district, we split it by that
So
percentage.
that's just a general cost, so IT's going up $500,000.
Yes.
And we're just splitting it between the two.
Correct, for the majority of. If there's something that's specific to sewer, like if they have a sewer software only, then it would only be in the sewer department. But the majority of the IT costs are split $51.49.
So like licensing fees and software is going up $500,000?
Yeah, amongst other things.
Yeah. They've got
We need better AI, huh?
They've got one of the biggest
Aren't we
budgets.
converting to AI and getting rid of software? Okay, so that's what it is. There's a general increase, and a lot of times it's a general increase, and we're just splitting it 51.49 or however between the two.
Yep.
Okay.
I have a quick question too on the previous slide. Okay, go back to that one. So you mentioned under the general and admin that there's election costs that go up. I always thought that that was all through the county. The elections are all through the county.
Go ahead.
You want me to- So we budget approximately $10,000 per board member who's being elected because there are fees related to, I think, just registering and getting the election set up.
Oh, okay. Okay, all right, thanks.
Okay, so for some background information for new viewers, every capital project has its own CIP detail page. And this is an example of one of those pages, which is on page 42 of the budget document. There are around 80 of these pages within the document, which are all rolled up into a comprehensive project list. At the very top is the project title. So this CIP detail page is for the SCADA Remote Site Upgrades project. There's a description section that describes the project and why it's needed. The project manager and project number are included. On the right is the department requesting the project and the funding sources for that project. The comments section include more detailed information about what the project is going to accomplish. And the project spending plan includes various previous spending on the project and what the subsequent 5-year and thereafter spending plan is projected to be for an overall 10-year spending plan projection. And the estimated project timeline shows the project, when the project was approved and when each phase will be started and finished, and finally when the project is estimated to be completed. And here is the comprehensive project list, which is an index of all capital projects. It has been separated into 4 sections for presentation purposes and is divided into 2 categories of projects: carryover projects and new projects. Starting with the carryover projects, which are projects that were budgeted for in prior years and have not been completed yet. You can see here that the project page for the sample project discussed earlier is listed here and references page 42. This $163.7 million amount is the total prior year budget amount, project budget amount, plus any budget adjustments to date. Then the $35.5 million is the total projected amount that will be spent on these capital projects as of 6/30/26. So we took actual project expenses through March, and then projected out 3 more months to get this end of fiscal year projected total. The $128.2 million is the difference between those 2 amounts and is the carry forward budget amount to be spent in future years. And the $9.9 million in new requests. New requests are the difference of what was the total overall projected cost of each project was in the prior year compared to 26-27. And new requests include any adjustments and costs to projects. For example, some of those negative amounts could be due to a possible project scope adjustment downward. And the larger new requests are highlighted in yellow and are for the land outfall parallel sewer section A, land outfall west repair and rehabilitation, Lake San Marcos lift station improvements, and Hill Corte Drive waterline replacement projects.
So, sorry, real quick question. So then the capital improvement budget is 163 million. Is that over how many years is that?
Well, first, that's the previous budget, so that would have been last year's total for the 10-year budget for those projects.
10-year, okay.
Yep, and then we're going to be showing you the 10-year coming up in the next slides.
Okay, thanks.
And just to be clear, as far as the budget approval, what the board's being requested is just to approve the 1-year budget
Okay.
for capital.
Okay, continuing on with the carryover projects. This portion of the comprehensive project list shows the 5-year spending plan on the far right for the carryover projects. And as was already mentioned, an important reminder is that the board will be asked to approve only 1 year of the capital project spending for fiscal year 26-27 only, which totals this $24.6 million. And the 5 largest projects are the chlorine contact tank expansion, SCADA remote site upgrades, City of San Marcos Creek District Phase 1, land outfall west repair and rehabilitation, and the Hill Corte Drive waterline replacement projects. moving on to the new projects. New projects are projects that have not been worked on in prior years. And the total for new projects being requested for 26-27 is $82.4 million. Of the $82.4 million total, 22.6 highlighted at the top is for ENCINA, and 46.1 highlighted at the bottom is for future projects. And the future projects will not be worked on during 26-27, but are included for multi-year financial planning purposes. And I also wanted to mention that there's a project detail page in the budget document on page 118 for future projects, which includes a list of what projects make up this future project total. So that leaves 26 remaining new projects totaling $12.8 million. Of that amount, the largest new request is highlighted towards the top for $4.3 million for the Lake San Marcos Life Station Parallel Force Main project. And so the total capital budget for all years, all projects, is $220.5 million, which is a total increase of approximately $6.4 million compared to the prior year. And the difference is primarily attributed to a 7.8 increase in projected future projects.
So Director Kirschbaum, that's the number that you were looking for right there, the
yeah.
220 million.
Thank you.
So good question, is there a reason Kogan tank fence, new fence is in green? Since it's in green, it stuck out to me, I'm going, no, this is $250,000 for a new
Just got
fence.
frozen.
All right,
Okay,
it just stuck out at me.
yeah.
Is that a
sorry
chain link
about that,
fence?
no.
Currently, yes, it is, but we have a lot of issues with break-ins there. It's only accessible by four-wheel drive or off-road vehicles, and kids go up there with chain link cutters, and they constantly cut it, go in the property. They recently broke some of the locks to the ladders that climb the tank.
So what do we put in, wrought iron or something?
We're looking at something more robust, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, continuing on with new projects. Here is the 5-year spending plan for the new projects on the far right. For the total new requests of $82.4 million, the 26-27 portion that will be brought to the board for approval in June is approximately $6 million. $3.5 million of that amount is for the ENCINA projects highlighted at the top. And then moving on to the section of the budget for vehicles and equipment, total replacement vehicles are budgeted at approximately $800,000. The larger proposed purchases are for a Ford F-550 for $280,000 and a van for the systems collection department for $370,000. And that is all I have. If there are no questions, I can hand it over to Mike, who will talk about water purchases and revenues.
Great job, Jody. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job. She's a lot softer spoken and nicer than you are, Wes.
I'm trying to be nicer,
Good evening, Director Kirschbaum, members of the board. First, General Manager Compel talked about how we had to arm wrestle with some of the departments and all beforehand. So I was a designated arm wrestler, and I fought like hell, I'll tell you, but I paid the price. So before we get going, just a couple of assumptions that are going to be used in the projections for the water purchases and sales. Right now, we do not have really a good understanding of what the water authority's increases are going to be. So we use a best case guesstimate of about 12.5%. That's very preliminary. Every year we run into the same kind of issue where the water authority tries to get us numbers early. The one year they did get us numbers early, about 2 years ago, they changed drastically. So again, we're using our best case guesstimate on here of about 12.5%. For SDG&E, and that's mainly the pumping costs that were discussed earlier, the increase is going to be about 10%. That one too is a little bit unknown because SDG&E typically puts through 2 increases throughout the year. So they'll tell us in January that it's going to be 4 to 5%, and then they hit us with another increase in July, August. So again, that's kind of a guesstimate as well. So sales volume, our purchases of how much water we're going to purchase is going to increase by about 2 to 4%. That's due to some of the growth that's within the district, but it's also offset by some of the conservation. That's another arm wrestling I have with Chris Robbins, is I wish he wouldn't do such a good job with his conservation efforts because it has a damper on our sales. So what does that mean? Well, right now, I want to emphasize that we're not approving rates, but I want to give you kind of a flavor of what that would potentially mean on rates, so you're not surprised back when I come back in October or November for a rate adjustment. So right now, the potential results of rate increases would be anywhere from 9 to 12%. Now, I know we just had a big realignment last year, but again, if whatever we're hit through from the Water Authority, it's a pass-through measure now. And Jody talked about earlier about the 75%-ish, 74% of our costs are fixed, are uncontrollable costs. And I'll show that on the next slide too. So 74% of that is going to be passed through. 26% of our costs are internal charges. So the pump zones, again, they will match whatever the SDG&E increase is. We do have a pass-through that we put into the Prop 218 last year. So then here's that slide that we talked about, the 74-75% split between our purchased water and our other internal costs. Back probably about 5-6 years ago, it was about a 70-30 split. Now it's coming up to about a 75-25 split. So that just kind of enforces the idea that the majority of our budget is really uncontrollable. About 75% of it is the pass-through from the Water Authority. So water sales and purchases for this year, the projected numbers, and Jody mentioned this too earlier in some of her projections, that we use actuals through March and then kind of project out for the next 4 months. I just finished April's numbers. They're not in here, but April sales did uptick a little bit, which is good for us. But at the time we did this presentation, water sales are projected at about 35 million. They're ready to serve that fixed charge that we charge our customers, about 18 million. And our pumping, which is the pumping costs that I talked about for those higher elevation customers, of about 716,000, with water purchase of about 41.4 million. One thing I kind of wanted to kind of stress from this current budget that we're in is that last year the Water Authority offered a prepayment program where we could prepay some of our fixed charges for a 4% discount, I believe. It was a one-time only offer, and they didn't renew that prepayment option again this year. So our current fiscal year, we did save about $250,000 in that prepayment of the fixed charges that we will not realize in future years. So for next year, our water sales are projected to go to about 42 million. The biggest, it looks like a big jump, but most of that is because this current year, we're only 6 months into the new Prop 218. So the next fiscal year will be a full year of that Prop 218 pass-through charges.
Question, with the sale of the water from Water Authority to somebody else, there was the money that was coming into that. Is that reflected in our budget?
It is not at the moment. General Manager, if you want to add more. It is not at the moment, so that is only, I like to use conservative numbers, and until that is in writing and I can see something, I'm going to give you the most conservative numbers right now. So if that comes into fruition, the good news is that when we do rates, they won't be until October, November. So if the sales to the other authorities come through, that'll be reflected in a lower pass-through amount.
And that's exactly right. So the sale of the water and how the Water Authority Board basically utilizes the funds will make a difference in the final Water Authority rate. What we've heard, what the General Manager heard, is the Water Authority rate is going to be lower than 12%, but we're making a very conservative estimate for the budget. The board will have an opportunity to actually look at what the rate is once we know and bring it back to you in the fall.
Okay, thank you.
So again, with that number, that 12.5% number, our water purchase would go to about $49 million next year. So the breakdown of the purchases, we're projected to purchase about 14,500 acre feet of water, and it's mixed between, we really have three sources: the desal water, the direct connection that we have, and that's about $4,300 per acre foot. We have a contract with OMWD for a raw water exchange where they treat our water, so we get a little bit of discount on that. It's about $2,165 per acre foot. And then the majority of our water that we purchase from the Water Authority is going to be about $22.77 per acre foot. And as General Manager Compel just explained, if we get lower rates, that'll be reflected in here, which would then be reflected when I come back to you in October, November for rate increases. So the total commodity charge of about 39 million, fixed charges of 9 million, for a total charge of about 49 million. Again, these are preliminary numbers, and I do want to say that last year the Water Authority did do a conversion of some of the charges from commodity to fixed, and I expect they're going to continue to do a little bit more of that, but they'll take $1 million from here and put it from commodity and put it down the fixed. They're trying to find a more stable revenue base, and by switching things to fixed charges, they can achieve that. So we have 10 pump zones. To get on the pump zones, we have 10 pump zones within the district. Right now, only 9 are active. The high point should be coming on relatively soon. I just wanted to give what the current rates were and the potential rates. Again, come back in October, November with more updated rates as we get more clarification on what that SDG&E charge will be. Right now, they're projected, everything here is across the board 10%, which is the estimated amount that we have. And again, with the last Prop 218, it's all pass-through charges. So if it comes through at 8, that's what my recommendation will be coming at the end of this calendar year.
Just a quick question on that. I mean, those pump charges, that's just filling the tanks at evening rates, right?
Yes.
We're not pumping throughout, we're waiting.
We're trying to get the super off-peak. We try to maximize the super off-peak time for those.
Is that just, I mean, somebody flipping a switch, or is that all automated?
No, it's programmed, and we try to design our stations to go super off-peak or off-peak and then into semi-peak if we need to. There are areas, especially during high demand, Santa Ana conditions, irrigation conditions, that we'll have to pump into peak, but we try to operate around that.
So you just manually have to override that if it's one of those things, but it's all set up to pump during off-peak, and then like you said, you have to manually override if you need to. Oh.
Yeah, and remember, the customer is getting charged per unit, based on per unit. So if they use less units, we're getting charged based on moving that water also. So there's a direct correlation to our costs, and then of course we don't recover all of it, but we recover a percentage of it from the customer.
Right. Thank you.
And then next would be the sewer. The sewer fund would be a little bit more stable. We aren't projecting any rate increases for this coming fiscal year, although I believe our CFO mentioned that we will be doing, or Jody, that we'll be doing a cost of service study for sewer. So there's a potential that the rates may change within the next year or so. But sewer, like I said, pretty stable from 19.2 million to 19.5. The reclaimed water sales, right now it's at 2.6, projected at 3.9. Now, the Meadowlark is actually down right now. So the 3.9 is based on the new contract, based on a full year of operation. It will not be fully operational for the full year, so it will be a prorated amount of that 3.9 million. And then other revenue, interest income, and late charges and things like that are about 244,000. So total revenues from 22 million to 23.6 million.
What is the latest projection that Meadowlark will be operational again?
So we're thinking, staff's thinking probably by end of August is what we're hopeful. Is that correct? Yep.
Okay, so the fiscal year starts in July, so you have two months off of that. Okay, thank you.
And I believe that was my last slide. So unless there's any other questions, I'll turn it back over to Wes.
All right, just when you thought it was over.
I hope you get better soon.
Oh, thank you.
No more arm wrestling for you. Just when you thought it was over, I'm back, and this should be the most exciting part of it. This is where we get to bring it all together and tell you what all the numbers mean for our financial forecast. So this is going to be our 5-year financial plan. And taking a look at the reserves for water replacement, and those are our reserves that are funded by rates. You may be aware that our reserve policy states that we will maintain 3 years of replacement of existing infrastructure plus 6 months of operating costs, and that's our floor for our replacement reserves for water. And you can see in 2027 that floor is $26 million, And by 2031, that floor will be $30 million. The ceiling for water replacement reserves is 10 years of replacement of existing infrastructure and 6 months of operating expenses. And the ceiling, and again, if we go over the ceiling, it becomes rate stabilization. I don't think we're in danger of that, at least not in the, you're going to see pretty soon we have no caution there. But if we go over the ceiling, it becomes rate stabilization and just lowers rates in the future. But the ceiling is $71 million for 2027 and up to $83 million by 2031. So now that we have the floor and the ceiling, let's take a look at what the balances look like in our draft budget. The orange represents the balances, and we can see in 2027 that we are projecting $31 million in water replacement reserves. And by 2031, it'll be $34 million. Both those numbers are above the floor and below the ceiling within policy limits. It is worth noting, however, that while we're okay in 2027, and that's the year that we'll be asking the board to approve come June 3rd, it's just 1 year, we do the 5-year financial plan, and looking at 2028, there are approximately $20 million in water projects in the next 2 years. So with those $20 million, if the projects happen at the amounts we're projecting, at the time that we're projecting, we may have to consider issuing debt in 2028 for water rates. So it'd be about $6 million that we'd have to issue in 2028 if everything happens as planned. Again, we're only really considering 2027, so that would be something that we'd take a look at next year if everything lines up and continues the way it is. But just wanted to mention that's included in the 5-year plan to keep the reserve levels above the floor.
Quick question on floor and ceiling. Who sets that? You do? I mean, the district does, or is that based on regulations, California, San Diego County? Who sets those?
The answer is yes.
Yes, yes, all of that. It's set by district policy, as I mentioned, but it's done through best practices, comparison to other agencies, rating agency requirements, and all of those things, basically.
So those rating agencies, do they send you parameters and you have to kind of comply and?
No, I mean, I communicate with rating agencies, and like, for example, I've talked to Fitch and said, okay, based on our current budget, we want to make sure we maintain our AAA rating, and they've said things like, well, as long as you have 300 to 350 days in cash, combined with your excellent management, I want to stress that, and other
good emphasis,
and other policies and procedures that you follow, that should be sufficient. So then we look at our, our floor needs to be set. It shouldn't go below that. And then we look at GFOA best practices.
So that floor and ceiling are truly set in-house. I mean, by
Yeah,
you.
Correct.
Let me
Yes.
add one thing. So they're set by board policy, but they follow best practices. And one of the things that helps us, or helps any agency with its rating, is how consistent that we stick to kind of our policies and guns. So as we have financial pressures, is the board, is management sticking within our policy? What's the actions of the board? Well, one great news for Vallecitos, and one of the reasons that we've had AAA ratings is because our board has stuck to its guns. So, and basically made the decisions to, keep Vallecitos in a good financial situation, so.
Sorry, one more question on the reserves, and I don't want to get too off track here, but, so 3 years of replacement, can you kind of explain what that is? Because it's not exactly like, that number isn't replacing all of our assets, so what is it?
No, so there's an amortization schedule, and it's stated in the reserve policy as well. I believe it's after, I think it's 20 or 30 years of the asset, we then say, well, we'll replace the cost of that over 15 years. And it's an estimate because we add the assets every year in groups. So for sewer example, we might add $20 million in assets this year. And those costs are inflated by the ENR as well. So you take the cost of the asset, if 15 years later we need to start replacing it, then we say, okay, that $20 million has been ENR'd up, now it's $70 million, and we need to replace it over 15 years, so it's divided by 15. There's a table, it's the last 2 pages of the budget that shows the water replacement and sewer replacement schedules that actually support these numbers for the floor.
Thank you.
And we have the reserve policy as well, which states exactly how that's done, so it might be 40 years over 15, replaced over 15 years, or I don't want to make up numbers, I want to make sure it's supported. Hopefully that answers.
Be making up numbers.
I like to make up numbers, a lot of them here, so you'll never catch me. All right, so, can I get the, I could just use the arrows like I've been doing, I guess. All right, so moving on to sewer. So rather than go through the whole thing, the floor and ceiling are very similar to water. The floor is 3 years of replacement of existing infrastructure plus 6 months of operating expenses. The ceiling on sewer is a little different, it's 8 years. Sewer assets tend to depreciate faster, need to be replaced quicker, so we use 8 years of replacement of existing infrastructure for the ceiling. And we can see the floor and ceiling for sewer for 2027 are 49 million and 114 million. And then in 2031, there was projected to be 51 million and 99 million. And then looking at the balances in the draft budget, we can see the sewer replacement reserves, and again, these are the reserves funded by rates for sewer, are projected to be $52 million, which is over the floor of 49 million. And by 2031, they're projected to be $52 million, which is $1 million over the floor of $51 million. And again, I want to make sure that I mention, while the board is only approving 1 year in 27, looking at 2028, we have almost $40 million. It looks like about $38 million in sewer projects in the next 2 years for replacement that will need to be funded. So if those happen at the time we have in the budget, at the amounts we have in there, we will need to look at issuing debt of approximately $6 million for the sewer replacement fund.
And one thing to add to that is in this proposed budget is a cost of service study for sewer. The last cost of service study was 2017. Is that correct? 2017?
2015.
Oh, sorry, 2015. Thank you.
Yeah.
So it's been stable since. I mean, it hasn't changed since then. So definitely, it's time for the district to look at our sewer costs and sewer rates.
And we
Did I miss that number? Did you make it up, or was it 6 million on the sewer side?
6 million on the sewer
So
side.
6 and 6.
It's 6 and 5. 5 for water, 6 for sewer. So it's about somewhere between 10 and 15 million is the current projection for the debt issuance. And a lot of that actually is driven by ENCINA too. ENCINA is approximately, I think, $6 million in operating costs next year. Right now, they're assuming their plant's going to be down too, so we're hoping that number decreases as well. So that's the sewer replacement reserves. Next thing on the agenda is just to finish up the budget calendar and move on to next steps. And I'm going to finish in less than an hour this time. That's like 25 minutes quicker than last time we did this presentation.
Good job.
All right, so budget calendar. Next, on May 20th, we're going to have the first review of the proposed budget. So we will take the draft budget, any comments or questions and revisions that we need to do until then, and we will create a proposed budget for that board workshop on May 20th. It'll be a shorter presentation, but just as exciting. And then in June, we will actually review the draft proposed budget and do some revisions and refinement to it. And then on June 3rd, we will bring you the most excellent budget, same as last year, always the most excellent one we can bring you for approval at that meeting on June 3rd. And with that, back to the most exciting page in the presentation. It is the most, right? Was I correct about that? And if there are no other questions, I'm happy to take them now. But otherwise, like it says up top, I'll see you next time.
Excellent work to all of you. Thank you so much. That's so detailed, and you obviously thought about every question that we might have asked for just line items that change. So thank you for your work. We really appreciate it. Any questions?
Actually, sorry not to prolong. Moving my peanuts off my questions here just a second.
We need snacks for this.
Sorry. So just because I was writing them now, just
Are those
hopefully they're
ballpark?
just quick questions.
Are
What's
those
that?
ballpark peanuts? And how come you're not sharing?
No, they're not.
Kirsten provides
Planners.
snacks for us up here.
Oh, okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
So talking about the calendar, I mean, who sets the calendar as well? Is that set by somebody outside, or is that, I mean, is it the most efficient way that is it just the way we've done the calendar the whole time or is there a more efficient way to do it to coincide with San Diego County Water Authority, water purchases, or how is that set?
It's set by staff internally, and we've actually we've improved it over the years, right? So we've got it to be whether we need more committee meetings and what the process needs to be to keep the whole district really on schedule in preparing the budget, because there's a lot of involvement throughout the district.
No, exactly. I've
So-
seen that. So it sounds, I mean, we want to be efficient. That's ultimately what we want to do is
Yep.
be efficient. And it sounds like you're tweaking it to make it more efficient along the way. And
Yeah, like if we think engineering's coming in late with their projects, we'll up their deadline and we'll tell them it's earlier. That way we can hound them and say, hey, you're late, and then we get them sooner.
so there's no state regulation saying you have to have it at certain times.
Well,
Well, I
we
mean,
have to approve a budget before July 1st, otherwise we can't spend any money. So there is that regulation.
And that's the only thing. We have deadlines and that's it.
Right.
However we work up to those deadlines is up to us.
Right.
Gotcha.
And we send out the calendar to everybody in the district on January 31st to begin the budget process.
Gotcha. And sorry, just a couple just so clear. Sewer, metal arc been down. I would love to see, if it doesn't take much time, how much that cost us, or, just because we're sending more to ENCINA, and how much cost is ENCINA, how much more efficiently do we do it? I don't know if we've done that, or if, I'd like to see just something that says, because we are down and ENCINA costs this much, God charges this much, where are we at? I would just love to see that comparison.
There's a lot of variability and changes that are happening on both sides, so it'd be hard to give you an exact number, but next year at this time, we probably can give you a better number. The reason is, at the next meeting, ENCINA's budget is gonna come to the board for approval, the same budget that was approved by the ENCINA board. It has to go to each member agency, and in that budget, it shows roughly an 18% increase for Vallecitos based on the assumption that Meadowlark is down. However, working with ENCINA, they don't know the exact number. They said if Meadowlark's back up, they think that number would be somewhere in the 5% range, 5 to 6% range. But at the end of next year, when they have their actuals and we know when Meadowlark is up, then we could go back and figure it out.
Okay.
So, but right now, there's too many variables.
With the
So,
reclamation sales, everything, okay.
yeah, because there's also
It's
a
just-
new contract.
I mean, what was the original timeline and where are we at now? Are we a year delayed or more?
Yeah, I think, and if you don't mind, Elizabeth coming up and just giving a brief
And
update
just a
on
quick
schedule.
question, I don't want to prolong Wes's long meeting already, but
I'm trying to get under an hour.
did a good
here.
job,
I'm like
actually.
59:06 right now.
just so in my own mind, and I know it's kind of budgetary.
This
but
is still on your time list.
Yeah, that's not September of 2025 is supposed to be
Was the
back
original
online.
date.
Yes.
And now we're in August of '26.
Yes,
So about a year.
yes. I know.
Okay, no, that's what I'm just, thank you, appreciate that. And sorry, 2 more quick questions. BSI, Jody, there's a backflow?
Yep.
Is BSI the name of a company?
The name of a company, it's actually, it's a company and the software that we use to, they submit our backflow testing results. So that we have testers that go out in the field, we have about between 3,000 and 4,000 backflow devices out there. They're the property of the customers, and they're required to have them tested every year and submit results to us. We've outsourced that to BSI, so testers will send their results to BSI, and we actually log in the BSI software and see those results, and we make sure that everyone submitted a test by December 31st, because we have to send them to the state.
So that's something we've used in the past, we continue to use, we shop it every once in a while to make sure.
We're actually, it was at the Finance Committee, it was probably like 6 months ago. We actually have gone out for proposals and bids on software right now. So we looked at 3 vendors, BSI is one of them, there's SAMS and Ecos Connect. We've received those proposals, evaluated them, and we're actually gonna bring a recommendation. I think we're gonna be switching probably around the 1st of July. So we're gonna pick one, bring it to the board for approval, and then we're gonna run them in parallel for a little bit, and then probably switch over in July at some point.
Thank you. And that brings me to my last question. Just, do we have, it's just interesting, because there's a lot of requests coming from multiple individuals, multiple departments of what we need, even you mentioned SCADA batteries and those are going up and things like that. Do we have a purchasing department that shops those, or does the individual say, hey, this is what we need, I've shopped them, and this is my request, or this is what we need, you, Mr. Buyer, can you shop the best price?
So we created, actually, last year's budget, we created a purchasing utility billing manager. And we're gonna start centralizing our purchasing. Before it was more individualized. We've always had a senior purchasing agent which helped out with the process, but now we're centralizing, and over the next several years, we're gonna really build up a more central purchasing department.
So the request would come in, this is what we need, can you shop the best prices?
Yeah, there'll still be some responsibility of the individual group that's requesting to go get the best prices and go shop it for our policy. But a lot of the formatting, a lot of the process, a lot of the facilitation will be centralized.
Thank you. Thank you, sorry to ask all those questions, but
Great
very
questions.
interesting.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Thank you for your
Alright.
time and attention.
Yes, thank you,
you.
Wes.
Good job.
Excellent
And your
job.
dream team.
Yes, thank you to the dream team. Okay, so that's the end of our action items. That presentation was for information only. So moving on to reports, General Manager.
Yeah, I'm going to start off with some good news here. The team, Eric and his team, were able to work through for our Tesla batteries. We have several sites that have Tesla batteries that we use for backup, and we were able to shop them out for credits, and we got $136,000 in credits that are coming to the district on that.
Good job, Eric.
Our Hillside ad hoc is scheduled for 5/28, and staff is working with legal to finalize a draft RFP to go out for that. And hopefully we'll be able to share it and discuss it in detail at the ad hoc. San Marcos Fire Department and Vallecitos is partnered. They'll be using our hill. We don't know the time for doing some training, so we'll be partnering with the city on them using the hill for that. And I guess the one that's a little bit more updated information, the board may recall that I mentioned that Livenheim stopped using fluoridated water at the last board meeting. So we've been working with Department of Drinking Water, and we are looking at doing some testing. We'll be coming back to the board but we'll doing some testing for at least the next month. And then within 90 days, depending on results and what the Department of Drinking Water said, we'll have to inform the customers that there's a reduction in fluoride in that area. So we'll be working through that process. Right now, it's really a month of testing and then submitting that testing to the Department of Drinking Water. So.
Livenheim has eliminated their fluoride
Yeah, they've eliminated for now, yes.
for now. And the other waters we get from San Diego Water Authority, those are fluorinated waters?
Yes.
So that's where the difference is, and that's what you're going to be testing.
Yeah, and so we get a blend, but certain areas get primarily Livenheim water, mainly the areas around Oak Creek Ranch and San Luis Hills. And then, but it also, we feed into Carlsbad with that, so it's going to affect the city of Carlsbad too. That concludes my report.
Thank you. In San Diego County Water Authority, so we had our meeting on April 23rd. I guess it was a couple of weeks ago. We did have a pre-budget presentation that I have to say was not as detailed and as organized as the presentation that I saw today. But one thing that we did talk about was, Director Hernandez, your question about the excess revenue that's going to be coming into the authority. So that was discussed in that initially, well, first of all, we haven't received any checks yet, but when they do come in, the plan is to put that into what's being called a prepaid water program reserve, because we pay for our supplies from Met at a later time. So so we want to make sure that we're not spending the money before we're paying for the water, essentially. I made a comment to that I think we should keep the money in the reserve until the member agency meeting managers complete their plan for the financial plan. So the member agency general managers have been meeting on a monthly basis, and they are working together to try to come up with a new kind of financial strategy for the authority. So I'm hesitant to, as a board member, I'm only one board member, but I'm hesitant to spend any of that money in the reserve until we have like a full holistic picture of our finances. And I trust the general managers from the member agencies to inform the board. So that's kind of where I stand on that. There are a lot of board members that want to just take that excess revenue and reduce rates right away, or just not raise them as much. So that's kind of an interesting, political discussion at the board. So we'll see how that goes. But it was just the preliminary budget presentation was last week. Another kind of interesting thing. So back in the 90s, when the authority did all of their investment in diversification of supply, they actually purchased a groundwater bank in Kern County. So there's all of this water that we have the rights to in Kern County. And so there was another deal to sell the rights to that water to a farming agency in Kern County. So that's another way that we're getting revenue. So we still kind of like own the banks. And please correct me if I'm wrong, if anybody, because this is really confusing to me. But we are giving first rights of the water to these large farmers in Kern County. So it's another way that we can get revenue to the authority, and that's another kind of storage of water that not a lot of people know about. So that's kind of interesting as well. Yeah, and I think that is it. Colorado River ongoing negotiations. And the latest that they mentioned was that they thought there would be no cuts to California this year from the river. So that was kind of good news. Yeah, that's all I have on County Water Authority. Any questions on that? Alrighty. Okay, moving on to ENCINA.
We'll have our board meeting later this month.
We had something, didn't we? I finally came prepared.
Good job.
What happened?
I told him, I'm trying to turn a new leaf. I'm
Yeah.
trying to come prepared.
Yeah, did you?
We did. We had a meeting. Did we report on this one? Oh, see, I came prepared. April 22nd. Did we have a meeting since April 22?
Yeah, you had one meeting, so went over employee of the quarter.
Right.
Yeah.
COLA, we talked about COLA. We already reported on that.
Well, the MOU was
Expansion of methodology, billing methodology. So we already talked about it. I just want to reemphasize. What's that?
This is the first time you've reported on
This is you're reporting on right now.
Oh, okay, well,
I'm
yeah.
just reminding you.
Yeah, so I know, that's what I thought. I said, okay, I've got to report, because you do such a good job, and you've been a good example, so thank
Oh,
you
well, thanks.
for reporting.
I'll take it.
So no, we did have an ENCINA meeting. We talked about the public hearing with retention recruitment with HR. There's 78 positions and only 1 to 2 vacancies on an average, so they're doing great there. We had an informal group of unrepresented employees, salary and benefit discussion, agreed to, their COLA is only going up to actual, whatever actual is, coming down with a floor of 2.0 and a ceiling of 4.5, but to pay the actual on the COLA. And then increase their healthcare costs from 90% to 92%. And then, yeah, they extended the new member agency billing methodology, and it seems like it's working for us. We're extending it just to see it's new, and they're extending that because from their perspective, it's working better, and so they want to continue to see if that works. And that was our meeting.
We did have
How
one
many-
other
oh, sorry,
item.
go ahead.
Our assistant general manager movement is already probably gone now. And so we had a good.
Oh, at ENCINA.
Yeah, ENCINA, so.
Yeah.
and-
Jason's looking at her. Her name is Jennifer Saban.
I want to interrupt the board right now. That's supposed to be a closed session.
Yeah. So say goodbye to her.
That's right, we did
Yep.
say goodbye to Jennifer Saban, who's been there
Yep.
a while.
How many member agencies are in ENCINA?
7?
7?
Five.
There's 5. Is there
No,
two? Is there 2 reps from each?
There is 2 reps.
Yes.
There's
Okay.
10 on the board.
Okay. How do you guys have really long meetings, or are they kind of more like these?
They're kind of like these.
Standard,
Oh,
hour,
okay.
hour and
Yeah.
a half
Okay.
maybe.
Just curious.
Budget time for sure. That
Yeah.
long.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Did any standing committees meet?
The capital
Engineering.
engineering. We had the same presentation that you saw this evening.
Great.
And the P3 meeting met yesterday, and again, I kind of reported on this, but we did go over the scholarships and recommended that you approve the 6 that we recommend and move forward to let Chris notify them and bring them here maybe
Oh,
next month.
exciting. Was it a
Yes.
hard decision?
It was very hard.
Yeah.
Very hard.
That's what I experienced as well. So
Oh,
a
sure.
lot of really qualified students, so.
Somebody at the high schools, the Boys and Girls Club, Future Centers, they're all doing their job in terms of, well, at least Mission Hills is.
Yeah.
Because we had 17. I
Wow,
think,
from Mission Hills?
Mission Hills High School,
That's awesome.
yeah.
Wow.
Great to hear it. Okay, and director's reports on meetings, conferences, and seminars attended. I guess, was Aqua this week? Yeah, so, no, but nobody from staff went to Aqua? Oh, all right, okay. And any other,
Ta-da, I have a certificate
oh, yes,
from the San Diego County Water Authority. I'm a graduate.
yeah.
I'm an alumni now,
Oh, good.
so, yeah.
Excellent. There will be a test later. Any other business for the board?
I wonder if it's appropriate that we have an update on Lake San Marcos. I don't know if that's a one-sentence deal or a whole board agenda item.
But there's no new news for Lake San Marcos, but I am in contact with with the regional board on different things, and we are still actively participating in the cleanup trust. But there's nothing new. Now, I'm more than happy if there's a board and a second to bring a presentation, but there's really nothing new to report.
Okay, no, never mind.
All right, anything else? Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 6:40. Thank you.
Thank you.